If you think you have seen enough chaos in the last few weeks, you probably know you were wrong by now. Since October 2015, there has been non-stop terror attacks which have rattled everyone's nerves and shaken our world off its foundation. But instead of reading the script our team prepared as usual, I will narrate through Wikipedia. 3 explosions occurred near the country's national sports stadium, the Stade de France, in the suburb of Saint-Denis. The first bomber was prevented from entering the stadium after a security guard patted him down and discovered the suicide vest. A few seconds after being turned away, he detonated the vest, killing himself and a bystander. Investigators later surmised that the first suicide bomber had planned to detonate his vest within the stadium, triggering the crowd's panicked exit onto the streets where 2 other bombers were lying in wait. 10 minutes after the first bombing, the second bomber blew himself up near the stadium. President Hollande was evacuated from the stadium at halftime, while the German Foreign Minister, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, remained at the stadium. 2 of the explosions were heard on the live televised broadcast of the match. Both football coaches were informed by French officials of a developing crisis, but players and fans were kept unaware of it until the game had finished. President Hollande decided that the game should continue without a public announcement. The German national football team was advised not to return to their hotel and spent the night in the stadium on mattresses, along with the French team, who stayed with them in a display of camaraderie. The first shootings occurred around 21:25 on the Rue Bichon and the Rue Alibert, near the Canal Saint-Martin in the 10th arrondissement. Attackers shot at people outside Le Crélan, a cafe and bar, before crossing the Rue Bichon and shooting people inside the restaurant Le Petit Cambodge. According to French police, an eyewitness said one of the gunmen shouted Allahu Akbar. Le Monde reported that 15 people were killed at these locations, and 10 were critically injured. The assailants fled in 1 or 2 vehicles after the shootings. One vehicle had a Belgian number plate. Doctors and nurses from the nearby Hôpital Saint-Louis were in Le Clarion when the attacks happened and supplied emergency assistance to the wounded. At the Rue de la Fontaine aux Voix, at 21:32, a man with a machine gun fired shots outside Café Bombier, close to the terrace of the Italian restaurant La Casa Nostra, on the Rue de la Fontaine aux Voix, where it intersects with the Rue des Faubourgs du Temple, south of the Rue Bichon. The Paris prosecutor said 5 people were killed and 8 were injured. An eyewitness reported a gunman firing short burst. Rue de Charonne. At approximately 21:36, 2 gunmen fired shots for several minutes at the outdoor terrace of the restaurant Le Belle Équipe on the Rue de Charonne in the 11th arrondissement, where it intersects the Rue Farhebert, before returning to their car and driving away. 19 people were killed, and 9 were left in critical condition. Boulevard Voltaire bombing. At about 21:40 on the Boulevard Voltaire, in the 11th arrondissement, near the Place de la Nation, a man sat down in the Comptoir Voltaire Café and placed an order before detonating his suicide vest, killing himself and injuring 15 people, one of them seriously. Bataclan Theater Massacre. At approximately 21:40, a mass shooting and hostage-taking occurred at the Bataclan Theater on the Boulevard Voltaire in the 11th arrondissement. The American band Eagles of Death Metal was playing to an audience of around 1,500 people. About an hour into the concert, a car pulled up outside the venue and three dark-clad men with AK-47s entered the hall. Witnesses heard shouts of Allahu Akbar just before the gunmen took up positions on the mezzanine and opened fire on the crowd. Initially, the audience mistook the gunfire for pyrotechnics. The attack lasted 20 minutes, and witnesses also reported seeing the attackers throw hand grenades into the crowd. A radio reporter attending the concert described the attackers as calm and determined, telling CNN they had reloaded 3 or 4 times. Survivors escaped via the emergency exit into the street or made their way onto the roof, with some taking refuge in toilets and offices. Others lay still on the floor pretending to be dead. The band's members escaped without injury. Around 2200, the attackers took 60 to 100 concertgoers hostage as police gathered outside the venue. They threatened to decapitate a hostage and throw the corpse out the window every 5 minutes. One witness in the Bataclan heard a gunman say, "This is because of all the harm done by Holland to Muslims all over the world." There were further attacks on police and first responders who arrived at the scene. Starting at 2215, the Brigade of Research and Intervention, BRI, arrived on the scene, followed by the Elite Tactical Unit, RAID. The assault on the theater began at 00:20 and lasted 3 minutes. Police launched the assault because of reports that the attackers had started killing hostages. They initially estimated that 100 people had been killed, but the toll was revised to 89. 2 attackers died by their suicide vest. Another was hit by police gunfire, and his vest blew up when he fell. Identification and removal of the bodies took 10 hours, a process made difficult because some audience members had left their identity papers in the theater's cloakroom. Like everyone else, I was deeply saddened by the chaotic downward spiral the world is facing today. At the end of the video, I want to share with you information I found on 2 crop circles which appeared on June 11th. The crop circle appeared in Barin, France. This is the only 2015 crop circle in France, and it bared an undeniable link to the Paris attack. There are 9 dots which represent the 9 attackers. 3 suicide bombers at the stadium and the one at Voltaire, plus the 2 that got away, are shown outside the big circle, which represent the center of the attacks. 2 terrorists first attacked at Rue des Charons before joining the other gunmen to start the Bataclan massacre. That is why the circle with the 2 dots appeared twice, once by itself for the Rue des Charons and once in a bigger 3-dot circle which represented the Bataclan massacre. And there are a total of 11 dots which I believe give us the date of the attack in November. 4 days later, another crop circle appeared at Wiltshire, England. I have pointed this out in my prior videos that this is the symbol of chaos. And I found the French symbol fleur de lis to look just like the crop circle. Don't you agree? It may be hard for you to accept that there is any warning messages in these 2 crop circles about the Paris attacks, But before rushing to any conclusion, please take a look at my other crop circle decoding videos showing messages with regards to the Russian passenger jet incident and the Lebanon, Mali, and Turkey attacks, and even Turkey's downing of a Russian fighter jet. So whether you agree with me or not, thanks for watching.